You're still here? And no offense, but you look worse.
Your lack of remorse just makes me grow.
Ah!
Now you're getting it.
A new Simpsons movie has been announced, but there's a big twist. While fans are still waiting for the official sequel to the Simpsons movie, another Simpsons-related film is quietly heading to theaters, and it's not what most people expect. Surrealist filmmaker Boots Riley has confirmed he's adapting Anne Washburn's acclaimed stage play Mr. Burns, a post-electric play into a feature film, a project deeply rooted in the Simpsons mythology, but far removed from Springfield as we know it. Originally premiering in 2012, Mr. Burns imagines a post-apocalyptic world where survivors attempt to reconstruct the Simpsons episode Cape Fear from memory. Told across 3 time periods, immediately after the apocalypse, 7 years later, and 75 years into the future, the story transforms a familiar sitcom plot into a mythic morality tale, complete with ritualized performances and symbolic villains. Over time, Mr. Burns replaces Sideshow Bob as the embodiment of evil, reflecting how pop culture evolves into legend. Washburn has described The Simpsons as uniquely suited for cultural survival, arguing that its quotability and shared memory could endure even after civilization collapses. The play's originality earned it a spot on the New York Times list of the 25 best American plays since Angels in America. Meanwhile, fans looking for a more traditional Simpsons experience won't be left out for long. Disney-owned 20th Century Studios has confirmed that The Simpsons Movie 2 is officially in development and scheduled for release on July 23, 2027. So while Springfield's favorite family is returning to theaters, one version will be animated chaos, and the other a bold, post-apocalyptic reimagining that asks a haunting question: what stories survive when the world doesn't? Hey, lovely viewers, welcome to our channel The Simpsons 24 Hours. New The Simpsons movie announced, but there's a big catch. The Simpsons movie's upcoming sequel isn't the only way Homer, Marge, Lisa, Bart, and Maggie will be heading to theaters in the near future. A new Simpsons flick is underway, but likely not in the way several fans of the long-running cartoon may expect. Over the weekend, surrealist filmmaker Boots Riley confirmed that he is in the process of taking Anne Washburn's Mr. Burns, a post-electric play from the stage, to the cinema, replying to a months-old fan post stating that the Simpsons-themed work would be heading to Hollywood. Theater Twitter: I'm here to let you all know that Anne Washburn dropped the announcement that Mr. Burns is being developed into a film by Boots Riley, the X post reads, citing the playwright's updated biography as appearing in the playbill for The Burning Cauldron of Fiery Fire. 2 months later, Riley addressed the news, confirming his involvement in the project. "This is a true thing," the I'm a Virgo creator replied to the post on Sunday. Mr. Burns, a post-electric play, sees members of a post-apocalyptic society attempting to reenact The Simpsons' Cape Fear episode in 3 different time periods, immediately after, 7 years after, and 75 years after an unspecified apocalyptic event. Throughout the production's 3 acts, the beloved The Simpsons Season 5 installment transforms from a casual campfire tale among survivors to a spectacular, pageant-like morality play complete with elaborate costumes and dramatized commercial breaks. First premiering at Washington, D.C.'s Woolly Mammoth Theater Company in 2012, Washburn reportedly told The Gothamist that she was inspired to take a TV show and push it past the apocalypse and see what happened to it. She initially considered crafting the project around episodes of live-action sitcoms like Friends, Seinfeld, and Cheers. Instead, she opted for The Simpsons, a decision she described as a fortunate choice, in an essay for Playwrights Horizons back in 2013. If any show has the bones for post-apocalyptic survival, it's The Simpsons, Washburn wrote of the work, which would later be included on the New York Times 2018 list of the 25 best American plays since Angels in America. So many people enjoy remembering it, retelling it, quoting it, doing the voices, the gestures. Even a terribly reduced population should be able to do a reliable job of putting it back together. Washburn's adaptation isn't the only Simpsons movie set to hit theaters. While little information is known about how long Riley and Washburn have been working on bringing a likely surrealist version of Mr. Burns, a post-electric play, to cinemas, fans will only have to wait a little bit more than a year to see The Simpsons, in some form, on the big screen. Last September, Disney-owned 20th Century Studios announced that a follow-up to 2007's The Simpsons movie is officially in the works and is slated to hit theaters on July 23, 2027. After 28 seasons, The Simpsons just got rid of one of its best characters. Death has reared its ugly head a number of times in The Simpsons, Maud Flanders, Larry the Barfly Dalrymple, and even Marge Simpson. As of season 37's most recent episode, Severance, you can add another name to that list, Duffman, Hank Azaria. Not Barry Duffman, the man behind the sunglasses, but the longtime Duff Beer mascot, a victim of the corporate Grim Reaper. And as a result, The Simpsons loses one of its best side characters, turning into no for millions. Death has reared its ugly head a number of times in The Simpsons, Maud Flanders, Larry the Barfly Dalrymple, and even Marge Simpson. As of season 37's most recent episode, Severance, you can add another name to that list, Duffman, Hank Azaria. Not Barry Duffman, the man behind the sunglasses, but the longtime Duff Beer mascot, a victim of the corporate Grim Reaper. And as a result, The Simpsons loses one of its best side characters, turning into no for millions. Duffman kicks off season 9 of The Simpsons v. Duffman made his first appearance in the season 9 opener, The City of New York vs. Homer Simpson, just shy of 30 years ago. The episode opens with Moe's Azaria, Evening Rush, All Five, and Barney, Dan Castellaneta, who comes out of the men's room in a bathrobe, coming into the bar. He tells them that they are responsible for 91% of all traffic accidents in Springfield, and from that point forward a designated driver has to be selected. To help, Moe holds a pickled egg drawing to see who has to stay sober for the night. With the selection of the black egg, that responsibility falls on Barney, the perpetual drunkard of the group. That's bad enough, but it's about to get worse as the familiar beat of Yellow's "Oh, yeah" reverberates through the room, so loud that it shakes Barney's bowl of nuts. It's the Duff Party Mobile, and with it the instantly iconic Duffman, who bursts in with a pelvic thrust and says, "Are you ready to get duffed?" He's there to reward Barney with a bottomless mug of icy cold beer after he sent in 10,000 Duff Beer labels, but Barney bursts out that he's the designated driver. With a completely rote, quick, and insincere statement about how Duff supports the designated driver program, Duffman remains to party with the others. It's the perfect introduction of the character, the embodiment of the extreme, party-hard, bro masculinity that dominated beer advertisements of the late 1990s, the Budweiser "What's Up" ads, for example. His blue and red tights, white gloves, his utility belt of Duff Beer and penchant for talking in the third person were always good for a laugh and a healthy dose of absurdity. Possibly dying when Moe put a sticker over his face, Duffman has actually been killed as many as 3 times, with a Duffman saying, "Duffman can never die." Only the actors who play him, for one, or appearing at Oktoberfest in a Nazi-esque performance, saying, "This Reich will last 1,000 beers." Oh, ja. Before muttering, "I do this, and I'm Jewish." He's only appeared out of character once, in season 20 SAXS, Waiting for Duffman, retiring after hip replacement, with Homer, Castellaneta, winning a reality show competition to become the new Duffman, before Howard K. Duff, Stacy Keach fires him and brings Barry back. Duffman is retired in The Simpsons season 37 episode, Severance. Anytime the charismatic Duffman appears on screen, he steals the scene with his constant enthusiasm, pelvic thrusting, and Duff Beer shilling. Then along comes season 37's Severance, a parody of Apple TV's Severance, and Barry Duffman explains to Homer and Marge, Julie Kavner, that the Duff Corporation has retired the character forever, citing that, all the old forms of advertising are now passé. Corporate spokesman, print ads, TV spots. Today's kids can't even sing the jingles. Much to Homer's chagrin, the latter is proved when Lisa, Yardley Smith, is unable to complete the famed Meow Mix jingle. It is, however, a sad truth. Despite Duff seemingly being the only beer in Springfield, Duffman was used to promote the brand heavily, much like your Tony the Tiger or Kool-Aid Man, who shares Duffman's "Oh yeah" catchphrase, but the scope of advertising has changed dramatically. It's no longer simply network television, where a commercial's effectiveness is infinitely better given its captive audience, but various social media platforms, websites, and streaming services, where conventional advertising no longer works. Characters, like the Geico Gecko or Flo, the face of Progressive Insurance, can still be used, but it takes a savvy promotional team to make that branding work across all media. Then again, is Duffman really gone? The Simpsons has rarely embraced any sort of continuity, letting the stories establish what's true about any given person, place, or thing at any one time. So the odds that Duffman has truly joined the likes of Maude, Dr. Marvin Monroe, Bleeding Gums Murphy, and Larry are slim. Comments from a rep for The Simpsons, responding to a request from the previously cited people, sent back an image of Duffman delivering one of his many memorable third-person quotes. Duffman says a lot of things. Oh yeah. Here's hoping, we can't get enough of that wonderful Duff. The most random Simpsons celebrity cameos ever at the time of this post's publication, The Simpsons has produced 37 seasons of television and over 48,120 episodes. I'm bad at math, I could be off by a few. After hundreds of hours of adventures, it's hard to believe there are any stories left to tell about Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie, and all of their friends in Springfield. One of the ways the show has remained fresh across its 63,459 episodes is by bringing in all sorts of people from around the world to voice new residents of and visitors to Springfield. When you make 98,000 episodes of a cartoon, you will inevitably exhaust the potential for A-list guest stars. As a result, over time The Simpsons has included more and more amusingly random cameos, from Nobel Prize winners to chess masters. The list below collects 20 of the most obscure celebrities, a term that you might need to use loosely in some cases, to voice themselves on The Simpsons. Themselves is the key word. Literally hundreds of voices have guest starred on the show through the years, but most have portrayed fictional characters. Steve Martin, for example, appeared on The Simpsons not as Steve Martin, enduring comedy icon and persistent banjo player, but as of Ray Patterson, Springfield Sanitation Commissioner. Praise Keir. The Simpsons A+ Severance episode had way more Easter eggs than I expected. 2025 was one of my favorite years of television because it's the year I, and many others, went 3 degrees beyond Abe's hit for Severance Season 2 after a 3-year wait that felt more like 30. Thankfully, the presumably long wait for the in-the-works Season 3 across the 2026 TV schedule was made slightly less painful thanks to The Simpsons' solid half-parody episode, fittingly called Severance, that was filled to the gill, Gunderson, with Easter eggs for fans to gawk over. My expectations were admittedly kept low on purpose before watching, as I didn't want to set myself up for disappointment. Thankfully, Severance stands alongside Season 37's superb Treehouse of Horror EP that sent up Late Night with the Devil among The Simpsons' more recent pop culture spoofs that hit the upper echelon. I can't speak for how it hit for non-macrodats, though. Check out all, or at least the majority of, the A+ references peppered throughout the episode. Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't yet watched on Fox or via Hulu subscription/Disney Plus subscription. The Ms. Kobalesque consonants and the Luminish enthusiasm on demand. Julianne Moore served as the voice of the jargon-spewing consonants, a lower nuanced take on Patricia Arquette's Ms. Harmony Coble. The company Enthusiasm on Demand is a more extroverted version of Lumen, and even though we've never heard of this century-old company in Springfield before, it clearly has the same kind of surveillance capabilities that Lumen does. How else could consonants have had an eye on Homer at the bowling alley? Stage adaptations have given us beloved movies like His Girl Friday, Wicked, and West Side Story. The subgenre has also given us Dear Evan Hansen, so it's a mixed bag. Either way, casual fans may assume that the genre's output is mostly musicals and Shakespeare, but there's a surprising amount of experimentation out there, too. Now, one of the most creative directors working today is adapting a theatrical work that takes an iconic piece of pop culture, The Simpsons, and turns it into a post-apocalyptic story of hope and survival. Playwright Anne Washburn recently announced a film adaptation of her most notable work, Mr. Burns, a post-electric play, directed by Sorry to Bother You director Boots Riley, which Riley confirmed on social media. The 3-act play depicts the world after an unspecified apocalyptic event. In Act 1, set soon after the apocalypse, a group of survivors gather around a campfire and distract themselves by trying to remember the plot of The Simpsons' Cape Fear episode, in a scene crafted by actually assembling a cast of actors and asking them to recall the show. Then, in Act 2, we jump ahead 7 years and follow a troupe of actors as they tour a production of this and other Simpsons stories, Station 11 style. Finally, in Act 3, we see what happens after the story spends 75 years traveling through a post-apocalyptic culture. the lighthearted theater piece has morphed into epic tragedy. Simpsons characters are represented through masks, and the actual Cape Fear villain, Sideshow Bob, is replaced by Mr. Burns, now an all-encompassing symbol of evil, much like how early theater relied on stock characters. The play poses an interesting question about modern pop culture. Centuries from now, what will be remembered about today? And how will it be remembered? Much as we remember Greek myths, our age could be recalled by our enduring stories of heroes and villains, be that through old episodes of The Simpsons or the sprawling Marvel Cinematic Universe. In the shorter term, Mr. Burns is a play about theater, so it will be interesting to see how it translates to the screen. But if there's anyone who can take an abstract concept like this and turn it into a good time at the movies, it's Boots Riley. Everyone wants a new Simpsons, hit and run, but what about this other game? The Simpsons has gotten a lot of games over the years, reflecting the long-running show's status as an enduring fixture of pop culture. Plenty of developers have taken a swing at bringing the world of Springfield to gaming, whether that be the side-scrolling beat-em-up gameplay of the arcade classic or the more expansive world-building of The Simpsons, hit and run. While both of those games typically get the best accolades the franchise has ever gotten in the world of gaming, there are other adaptations that have a lot of fun with the show's world. Developed by Radical Entertainment and released on November 19, 2001, The Simpsons, Road Rage is one such game. A pastiche of Sega's chaotic Crazy Taxi series that was so close in terms of game design that it faced a lawsuit from Sega, the game's success helped lay the groundwork for what the franchise would become with other titles like Hit and Run. While a modern follow-up to Hit and Run would be great, a new version of Road Rage might be even more exciting. Road Rage was Crazy Taxi meets The Simpsons. The Simpsons, Road Rage was a clear riff on Crazy Taxi, with a central gameplay mechanic of driving around specific neighborhoods in Springfield and dropping off the various citizens of the town along the way. In a version of Springfield where Mr. Burns has taken over all transit and left the buses radioactive, the citizens are forced to resort to ferrying one another in a bid to make enough money that they can take control of the transit system before Burns fully destroys the town. The typical color palette of the animated series fits neatly into the Crazy Taxi-style gameplay, especially as a way of keeping the player on course amid the loose controls and unexpected roadblocks. It was such a clear riff on the game engine behind Crazy Taxi that Sega sued Radical Entertainment, Fox Interactive, and Electronic Arts for patent infringement. By then, however, Road Rage had become a financial hit thanks in part to its cross-platform release, earning over $41 million in 5 years. The Simpsons, Road Rage isn't a flawlessly constructed game, which was reflected in the mixed reviews it received from critics upon release. However, there's a real sense of cartoonish chaos that's befitting the bright graphics and makes the sloppy driving all the more entertaining. Racing through the streets and hitting other cars with the reckless abandon of a burnout game adds a level of challenge to Road Rage that doesn't feel as punishing as the limits played on players in Crazy Taxi. The game leans into this by occasionally throwing additional missions onto the player, such as destroying stuff by ramming through the suburban sprawl of Springfield or avoiding the arrival of Mr. Burns and Mr. Smithers in a luxury car. While the arcade mode was a fun way to unlock more parts of the world and work to climb up the leaderboard, the campaign mode introduced unique missions and brought the show's voice cast together for a story that feels uneasily timely. A new Simpsons, Road Rage would be great for years. Fans have been clamoring for a new take on The Simpsons, Hit and Run. While The Simpsons take on a Grand Theft Auto game is a lot of fun, I've also always wanted to see a return for Road Rage 2, especially now, where open-world driving games like Crew Motorfest, Mario Kart World, and the upcoming Forza Horizon 6 tease the potential of getting to explore a setting like that, especially one that reflects the massive world of The Simpsons. A new version of The Simpsons, Road Rage wouldn't be as bound by the limitations of game design for the PS2 era, with greater freedom to expand the levels and create an entire Springfield for players to explore. The game could expand the setting to reflect new locations in the show or to introduce new challenges. The ways The Simpsons have expanded their universe in the years since Road Rage was released would open the door to plenty of new characters, settings, or gags to litter the game with. Having Road Rage widely available in an era of online gaming would add new layers to the arcade setup, or could introduce new multiplayer modes that play with different gameplay mechanics, like an increased emphasis on environment destruction, more traditional races, and in-slick driving challenges. An expanded version of Road Rage could even follow the influence of later games and bring on some of the creative team from the show, influencing the plot, and give the single-player mode a campaign that feels like a new Simpsons movie. 25 years later, The Simpsons, Road Rage was a fun if basic riff on Crazy Taxi that also contained a great surface-level world and core gameplay that modern developers could take to the next level. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.